breaking down whatever I'm trying to draw. And the memory I have is I remember you trying to show me how to draw either a raptor or a T-Rex. And I think it was a raptor.
Something.
Yeah, it was a dinosaur, but you were showing me like the ovals and just breaking it down into simple shapes.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, like I have like just random like childhood memories on like sneaking into your room and tracing your drawings and stuff.
You did that? Oh, you son of a bitch.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 100th episode of the Rated G podcast. I'm your host, Terado. And this is a very special episode. So special that I cut that thing in half. But I also have a very special guest featured on this one. And we are now on YouTube. So a lot of exciting things happening. And I look forward to connecting with the YouTube community with the podcast. So if you're new here, welcome to the show. This is a podcast where I sit down and have honest discussions and conversations with other artists and creators. And we simply just talk about art and life and, you know, everything and anything that we're into. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so you can keep up with the podcast. And for anyone there coming back, welcome back to the show, and thank you for your continued support. After tuning in, if you'd want to continue to follow myself and the featured guests on the show, be sure to check out the show description where I'll provide all the links, all right? So, let's get to the show! Yeah, so like I said, my guest for this episode is dear to my heart. He is the reason that I'm pretty much here today doing what I love doing. And yeah, you know, he's been there, done that. He works in the special effects, animation, video game industry. He's worked on some shows, some films. He's like a vet in the industry. And it was really cool just to, you know, sit down, shoot the shit, reminisce. We talk about some of these habits that we've inherited from our father. Talk about some childhood stuff. What it was like attending school, the Kubert School. Talk about martial arts. So it's just like, it's wild because a lot of the stuff I like to do in my day-to-day is relative to what he does. And it's just all from, what I grew up watching him do. And just seeing all the similarities between us, it's just uncanny. He really gives a lot of insight on what it's like working towards and within the video game industry for animation. This podcast will either scare you or prepare you if you choose this industry as your career path. I don't know what you would expect with two brothers sitting down talking about art and geeking out the things and talking shit, but if you enjoy this first part, be sure to check out part 2. So please welcome for the first time on the Rated G podcast, my brother, my oldest brother, my brother from the same mother, my Kuya, Ferd Terado. Thanks for making the time to hop on your little brother's podcast.
Nah, that's cool, man.
For the listeners out there, this is my oldest brother. I've mentioned him multiple times because he is the sole reason that a big element of why, part of who I am too. There's a lot of
it's my fault.
Yeah. But huge inspiration and influence for me as an artist, and also kind of like not to get all like woo and spiritual, but even kind of like spiritually, I guess, because just everything that I'm into, it's like you're still doing them now, you're still pursuing it, and it's just, I don't know, maybe because I'm older and I'm starting to really see the resemblance in terms of like how we live also. Outside of just like the artistic aspect of it, because I still have like vague memories, like as a kid, like with you just showing me, just like the basic fundamental tips on like breaking down whatever I'm trying to draw. And the memory I have is I remember you trying to show me how to draw either a raptor or a T-Rex. And I think it was a raptor.
Something.
Yeah, it was a dinosaur, but you were showing me like the ovals and just breaking it down into simple shapes.
Oh, yeah.
But like I have like just random like childhood memories on like sneaking into your room and tracing your drawings and stuff.
You did that? You son of a bitch.
Like me and the guys from Haskell would when we talk about like growing up, like we always talk about sneaking in your room, and I always want, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if he realized like we did that like to play the PlayStation or like Mortal Kombat. But yeah, we used to sneak in like while you're like taking a nap or something. We're trying to play Mortal Kombat real quiet.
If I didn't wake up, that means I was pretty dead then. When deep in sleep. If I didn't hear anybody walk in and play PlayStation or whatever.
Yeah. So, can you do me a favor and sort of explain to the audience what you do, in your profession, and I don't know if you want to name like some credentials, because I kind of like bragged a little bit. I'm like, yeah, my brother worked on this. But yeah, give a little description of what you do.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, hey everybody, my name is Ferd, and I am, as G said, I'm his oldest brother. I am a character animator in the game industry currently. If you play games, you might have probably played some of the stuff I worked on. So most recently I worked on Call of Duty Vanguard. And before that I worked on games like Jedi, Fallen Order, The Last of Us Part 2. What else? Death Stranding, the Hideo Kojima game, Death Stranding. An MMO called Rift, and what else? Yeah, more. It's a crap load, right?
Just a list of a few.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat versus DC fighting game. I think it's called Injustice now. Or that became Injustice. It became the Injustice game later on.
Yeah, because that was sort of like the thing that kind of started that. Like that was kind of like the foundation. Like, oh, we're gonna try this idea combining.
Yeah, because they were. Yeah, I think. If I remember
then they just made
correctly,
it more graphic.
Yeah, like so. Right, Midway Games. Right, that's the studio that created the Mortal Kombat franchise. And if I remember correctly, around that time they were in the process of being absorbed by Warner Brothers, right? Warner Brothers owned the rights to the DC property, Superman, Batman, right? All those characters.
Yep.
They decided to do a mashup fighting game using Mortal Kombat and DC heroes. So that's why I got to work on that. So just mainly the cinematic stuff, right? I didn't work on the gameplay itself, because that's a whole different team.
Right.
But yeah, you guys got to play it, right?
Yeah, right.
One Christmas he came out when I was still in the Bay.
Yeah.
It was like surreal to me, right? I even took a picture of you and Ryan, right?
There's a video on Facebook of us.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, you took a video of us just like
because it was like playing. It was like so surreal to me. I'm like, oh my god, my bros are playing this game I worked on. This is so weird.
Yeah, but that felt awesome though. I mean, aside from any kind of criticism like real game nerds would have, I think it was just this guy. Like the way I'm looking at it is just all just like family based. Like, you're seeing your little brothers who you got, like, you've taken us to see the movies and then, let us play the video game when you have it. And then it's like sort of like almost full circle, because then now you had the opportunity to work with the company and work on this game and this concept. And like, mind you, it's like also with like, the childhood like superheroes like Batman and Superman.
Yeah, like we grew up, like even you grew up like playing Street Fighter with us. Yeah. Like we'd be my friends, you and Ryan. Yeah. That's after we do the chores, right? You gotta mow the lawn first, and whatever we were supposed to do at the house, and then we can like sit down and play Street Fighter on freaking Super Nintendo. Yeah.
I always had, and I would talk about this a lot with my friends, like all the games that generally like video game fans are into, like Legend of Zelda, Final Fantasy, Resident Evil, all like Metal Gear Solid, like all these games. I'm like, yeah, those were the games like I sat down and watched my brother play. I was like, I'm a fan of the game, but then when they talk about playing it, I'm like, oh yeah, but I watched my brother play it. Like it was kind of,
I don't know how you're able to do that. Huh? Like how are you able to do that without getting nauseous?
I don't know. Like I
get nauseous when I watch other people play, because it's like my brain is like, do this, but they're doing something else, and right, and it's like, no, go that way,
I just took it as like watching a movie, really. Like I'm just watching like a movie, but it's the gameplay. But there's a lot of games like I'm a fan of, but I never really played it myself. I just watched it.
Yeah, but didn't we all go through like the Tetris phase? Like everybody was playing Tetris, and everybody was trying to match it. Everybody was trying to master Tetris. I remember like at home we would have like even artists friends,
Oh yeah.
We're all trying to outdo, like everybody's trying to get the highest score.
Yeah. Well, I was probably way too young to play. I was probably like 4 or like, because well, yeah, you were young. But, yeah. Well, I would tell everyone I caught like the end of everything in terms of the different eras of video games, film, music. Yeah. Like I especially with music, I've always told people, like when it comes to my taste in music, like being the youngest out of 4, it's cool that I have like this like eclectic mix of like a taste in music, because like from Ryan I got the hip hop and like R&B from like the 90s 2000s hip hop and R&B. To introduce me into like Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, Korn, like all that like alternative rock, hard rock scene. And then with you, I always praised you for getting me into original soundtracks and scores for movies and games and cartoons, and even just like different cultures too. Like, because I remember you had that big chest with the Mortal Kombat dragon symbol on it, and it had like all your like mixed CDs, and like you had all these like Buddhist burnt CDs and like all these different like countries.
I had all kinds of crap, man.
Yeah,
that's why it's weird, right? Like I got into like movie soundtracks because it was like, I like hearing the music from movies that we watched, especially. Yeah. So you have I even had the Mortal Kombat, right?
I remember that we had that for the longest time.
Yeah. I don't know, what else did I have?
You had so you had one mixed CD. I don't remember like what you labeled it as, but what some of the tracks it had were, and I think this is kind of like what got me into like even like video game music or cartoons, like what like other like categories. And it had like a Pac-Man, like kind of like techno remix. And you had the Unicron theme song from the Transformers movie. That was what got me really into like the cinematic scores, because Vince DiCola, like I don't know, he's just like, I don't know. I loved his music for Transformers, so like I remember just getting so hooked onto the
it's
Unicron
like,
song.
yeah, it's like well now it's like retro, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and they're like, like movie scores or whatever, right? Theme music. They're kind of inspirational, right? It puts you in a different mood. It puts you in a
like it puts you in a
like,
space of like
yeah, exactly.
situation is.
Yeah, now you just remind me. Yeah, like I remember like when I was still going to Kubert School, right? And I'd be like working on my assignments. Like I'll have freaking whatever music is playing. Like I know Terminator 2 soundtrack would be blasting. I remember that. I played that a lot. Especially when I'm working on some action-y stuff and getting into it.
Oh, that is so funny. That's exactly how I work.
Yeah, like you remember, I'm still into heavy metal too, right? So,
yeah.
But heavy metal kind of it's a little too frantic, a little too much energy, right? So it's like, it didn't have the beat that kind of is conducive for working with fine lines and things. I'm so angry. All the lines are angry. All my shadows are angry.
You start noticing your strokes are getting like harder and like darker. You just like drive the paper.
So it's like working out, right? Like right when you're working out, you listen to a certain type of music that puts you in that groove, right? Like I see your Instagram videos, or I think sometimes you got headphones on.
Yeah.
Do you wear headphones or?
I mean, like not anymore. Yeah. Well, if I'm, yeah.
But right, like you're listening to music that kind of gets you in the mood for that workout, right?
Yeah.
And some people use like something with a what do you call, like a steady, right, kind of dancey beats.
Yeah.
And then some people they listen to freaking classical music.
Yeah,
right?
I don't get that.
You can't tell, right? Until they take it off and you hear freaking piano. You're like, what are you listening to?
It's funny you said that because at this gym in Bloomfield, New Jersey, that me and Nicole used to go to, there was a guy that that was listening to the Greatest Showman soundtrack.
Oh my God.
I was like, and I love the soundtrack. Like we had it in our wedding, but like, I'm like, I wouldn't be able to find, like, I get the like the pump from it, but like, I don't know, when I'm working out, it's more about like hardcore, like arduous, like struggle, and like, so I got to put like epic shit on like to carry me through.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't get the classical. Like I know some people that do that, and even like pop music, and I'm like, I guess because it's like high energy somehow, but I'm like, I don't know. I guess everyone has like a different thought process through that whole thing. So
no, totally understand. I mean, I still do that. Dude.
Yeah, same.
I think the only other at work now, because we work from home right now, right? Because of pandemic, I've been just putting on like lo-fi music, and it's by no particular artist, because they're like these live streaming music on YouTube. You just it just plays, and it's cool because it's not exactly slow, but it's like very like down tempo and kind of jazzy.
It's soothing.
Yeah. So now, like, at least, if you asked me this like 20 years ago, I'd be like, what the fuck is that? Stupid. Put some Megadeth on, But now, because I'm much older now, I'm kind of like, my brain needs to like chill, and if I'm gonna work, then I need to get into this like flow, right? I think the only place really I can't really listen to music while working out is at the gun range, because
look, you have to be there. Everywhere. You have to be present.
You have to be like super alert and aware, the entire time, right? So yeah, that's the only place where you really can't listen to music.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that makes a lot of sense. do not
Can you
recommend
imagine?
listening to.
Can you imagine? You're like, what? You're like grooving this up, and you're like, what? And like, I said, you shot someone by accident.
Oh shit! Damn, that's so funny. But I mean, yeah. So anyone who's shooting, don't wear headphones.
But yeah, dude, I'm still collecting like different music, like, but not CDs anymore, right? Everything is like MP3s now.
Yeah.
So I would like buy them. I would either actually buy them from Amazon Music, or I'll just have my Spotify, turned on. But yeah, I'm still collecting them.
Yeah. Yeah, I do it. I don't know. Music, if for me to want to have to like have it, it has to hit me a certain way.
Yeah,
so it's very sporadic when I'm like, oh, I think I want that song or that album. Like it has to be, something very specific. But I'm always open to like orchestrated stuff.
those are nice too.
Yeah.
But it looks like both of us like all kinds of music.
Yeah.
You ever get your friends asking you like what kind of music you like, and then you go, I don't know, I like a lot of different styles. It's like
it becomes more of a head, and even if they're like, just like name like a couple. It's like,
yeah,
all right, but like for you to understand my range of taste, like, all right, now I gotta dig. It's like, all right, Beatles to fucking, I don't know, Daft Punk. I don't know. It's just like, oh man, I can think of so many like artists that are.
No, I'm the same way. I did a podcast with a couple of former EA guys years ago, like almost a decade. Holy crap, that's how how long ago it was. But like, yeah, they asked me the same thing, and I was just like, I just froze because I'm trying to think of any like a particular artist, and there's a shit ton in my brain, but the only thing that came out of my mouth was like, oh, I like Madonna. And I couldn't even think of a song in particular from Madonna, because there's a few, right? But and that's the other problem. I don't necessarily always remember the title of the song. I just remember the song itself. The one that goes, that one.
You're just digging yourself in a hole.
It gets you, and then it's just embarrassing.
Street cred just starts.
I know. If you're like watching the analytical chart.
My friends do find it hilarious still to this day that how much Spice Girls, how much you're into Spice Girls.
Dude. Yeah,
it's like he's so threatening looking and intimidating. Like he loves Spice Girls, which is like you still get that till this day. I imagine, right? Like everybody still finds you really intimidating until they get to know you, and you're like,
yeah. I guess I can't really blame them, right? I mean, look at.
I know.
It's like I did this to myself. And like was it like before? I don't know if I told you this before, but like when I would like travel to Texas to like attend my like martial art training camps, like I would often get mistaken for a military person. Like there's a couple of times they tried to usher me through this like instead of going through the usual security line, they try to usher me through this other direction for military personnel, right? Of course, it's not labeled, so it doesn't. They're just like, "Oh, sir, go this way, sir." I'm like, why? And then they ask me, they're like, "You're like, you military or or law enforcement? And I'm like, neither. I'm civilian. I'm just, because I think it might be a Texas thing. Like they love their military.
Okay.
Like So no, I'm not. I'm not military. Oh, the boots, yeah, because I'll have my boots hanging from my backpack because it couldn't fit in my other bag, so I'm carrying it. So
funny.
Yeah, and I'm my gear is either tan or OD green, so it's like they just assume, right? So, but yeah, I get that. But now I play it up, right? That's why I don't know if you saw my Instagram post like just last night.
I'm not sure.
It's like the social media versus.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You're like, yeah, this is what you see, but this is how I am really. I'm like holding my cat,
Right. Well, that's what I mean. That's why I tell when I'm talking to my friends about you, I'm like, yeah, like just by optics, he looks like a threat, but he's a very cuddly guy.
It's good for keeping away.
Yeah,
and bug you for $1. Yo, man, can I get $1?
Yeah,
that's like a New York thing too. Like a homeless person when they ask you for change, like they're very specific about the amount.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever encountered that when you were down in Philly, but
oh yeah, for sure.
It's like,
I literally had a homeless guy, and I told him I was like we just left the store 7-Eleven, and I had a penny on me. I don't even know why I had it on me, but the guy was just like very persistent. He's like, anything will do, man. And I'm like, dude, I literally I have nothing pretty much. And he's like, just anything. And I'm like, I gave him the penny. And he gave me that look and he fucking flicked it at my head. I was like, well, I told you.
You should have given him. You should have given him an empty gum wrapper. Like, I told you, this is all I got. I'm giving you what I got. I got an empty gum wrapper.
Yeah. But yeah, I get it.
I remember I remember this one. I was still working at Curious Pictures, right? And again, I'm like, it's way back in the day, right? And and I remember this dude just walks up to us and goes towards me in particular, right? And starts complimenting me on my hair because I already started wearing the mohawk.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, man, I like your haircut, man. It's cool. Yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool, thanks, man. And then it's like, yo, man, can you give me $1? Because I gotta go to McDonald's. And he's really specific about what he wants to do with that $1. It's like, yo, I gotta go to McDonald's, and McDonald's is right there. So I think I did give him $1, but I was just kind of like, all right, since that's what you're using it for.
Yeah. I still do give out change if I can. Actually, the way I do it now is because they happen to catch me when I'm going into the store, and so I tell them if I can, I will. But I do make it a habit where if I can spare another $1 on something, I'll purposely buy a protein bar or something and then give them change. So I'm at least if you really need food, I'll hear, the least I can do is get you a protein bar and then I'll give you the leftover change. That's how I usually do it. Cause if you give them money, what are the chances of them using it for food or water? So I try to make that choice for them and then whatever. 50.
Yeah, I've done that. I've bought food for homeless people that are they're holding up a sign that says anything helps, or whatever. But I've been disappointed so many times because I see them, right? I see them there, and of course I'm in my car, right? So it's not like I can just stop and give them whatever. So I'll see okay, I marked this one particular dude. There he is, and there's a Burger King or McDonald's around the corner. I'm gonna go over there to drive through really quick, get him a meal, circle back, and he's fucking gone. So now I got a bag of, I got a Happy Meal in my car. Like, hey, I mean, I could eat it, but sometimes like I just had lunch, right? And I'm like on my way back to wherever. It's like I'm like, I want to do something nice really quick, right? Because I saw a homeless person, and grab food, come back, they're gone. Yeah. So this summer, I remember I was coming back from training from the park, and same thing. I saw, again, a homeless person, right, sitting there with a sign and everything. I literally, like, you know what I did, dude? I went to the gas station across the street and parked and walked across to him. And I'm like, hey, man, how's it going? How are you doing? And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm cool, man. How are you? I'm like, are you going to be here for a while? And it's like, as I'm doing that, I'm having like flashbacks of a Seinfeld episode. Yeah. Like, are you gonna be here for a while? It's like, yeah, man. I can't understand what he's saying. He's just kind of like slurring all over the place, And I'm like, all right. I said, I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, right? And that's like one of the few successes I had of actually like handing somebody food. Because they actually stayed put that one time. That felt good, man.
Yeah.
I felt good afterwards.
And you know what? And then, like, guaranteed, I mean, depending how far back this was, but this wasn't like a trend where people take selfies or, have to get a video on it.
I didn't get that. Like, why would you? Not just selfies. I've seen it on Facebook. Like somebody would
videos.
Brag. Mm-hmm. I just helped out a guy, long freaking,
Oh yeah, when they're like buying them like all this gear, like I see ones when they're buying them new shoes, like it's all good stuff, but I'm like, why do you have to like promote it that way?
Yeah, it's like, hey, look at me, I'm so virtuous.
It just feels disingenuous.
I don't want no reward, but I did this super nice thing for this guy,
Yeah,
I didn't get that, but that's what social media does, right?
I know. I have a lot of struggle with social media. I was right.
well, like what part? Besides that, it's
I don't know where to begin.
I got like a hate thing with social media, like. There'll be times where I just don't want to post anything or even like go in there. But then it's like, it helps me with my martial arts stuff.
Yeah, so it's so funny.
That's how a lot of people know me by, So
well, I mean, that's what martial arts. Because, like, I mean, I'm not a martial artist or anything. Don't have real training. All I can say is that I practice my kicks and I practice my strikes. That's the best I can do.
Oh, like it's whatever. Like whatever. Yeah. I mean, I have friends who are, they're artists like me in the industry, and they used to put up their stuff on their Instagram account or even on their Facebook.
Yeah.
And then one day they just like stop, right? Like they stop uploading. Like they haven't even been like maintaining their pages, right? And then I would mention it when they like talk. They're like, oh yeah, it's just it's so exhausting trying to
yeah,
it's like trying to update your LinkedIn page with your latest whatever. But it's like, but you do it every day or every week, and it's like, and I'm like, yeah, I get that, so. But we still do it.
Well, I mean, I really wouldn't know where to begin in terms of like my like hate. hate and love relationship with social media. I think, there's so much. And I'm a hypocrite too, because there are things like I do too. But I guess like what I see when like my feed is out of my control, because I know it's like all algorithm and whatever. But it's, probably because of what I interacted with. But, when I just start seeing like just people complaining about stupid shit, I start complaining about it. And then just the way I react and respond, like, it's always like after I do it, I'm like, fuck, like, I wish I didn't do that. And so that's the part I hate about it, the way it affects me. But it's probably just because I lost control of like my whole, whatever I was receiving. But but like going back to like the martial arts thing, I feel like that sort of that way of exercising, that training, like I really do think that helps. Like, at least I'm just speaking on my experience. Like it does help me be able to sort of align myself a little easier, because it does like open your perspective a little bit more when you go through like this like self-inflicted like exercise where you're challenging yourself and your mental state, like all that stuff. So that's why I think like martial arts.
It's good. It's what do you call it? It kind of puts like all that weightlifting and calisthenics that you do into a better context, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like right back in the day, it's like right. I don't know if you used to get this, but it's like guys often get asked like, do you go to the gym? Which gym? It's like a weird bro 90s bro thing. Like, yo, man, you work out. Where do you go? Right, like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then you think about like, well, like, what do you work out for? Right? You trying to just look good, or you're trying to condition yourself for some kind of specific activity, right? And doing martial arts in conjunction with, going to the gym or doing CrossFit or whatever, that it like, right? They kind of make sense, right? Like you're doing exercises that make sense. Mm-hmm. You're not just lifting weights to have gains. Look at the gain. Look at that.
You want functional gains.
Photo, like everybody's taking photos of themselves now.
I was guilty of that. I do that.
Yeah, I've done that. I even do videos.
Yeah.
Because it was.
But then it's like it's genuine though, right? I think it's different. The difference is like how it's coming off, because you can tell when certain content is genuine, and content in terms of like you're just showing your form and technique and stuff. You're not so much showing off like your muscle gains and stuff. Like if we're just talking about workouts. I
mean, when I did it, it's like, I was showing off this cool new exercise I discovered. And not only that, I'm wearing a kilt when I do it too, right? So right, I was a member of this one 24-hour fitness gym in San Diego, and they happen to have a tire. I'm like, I've never done tire flipping before, right? Or all these tire exercises, right? So I didn't use it the day I saw it. Like I went home, went on YouTube and looked up all kinds of tire stuff, right? And then the following day I went back and, like, okay, I'm going to try out these exercises, right? So I was flipping tires and doing burpees. And of course I was recording the whole thing now, and a bunch of other things. But that, you'll see like mistakes. Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. And that's what I try to show too, especially if I am, because I still do them. Like if I'm recording any workout videos, it's more about just showing form and stuff. And it's all like kind of just suggestive, like, because like everyone's different. But I think it's important to show like, if you can show your struggle through the thing you're doing too, and then kind of show all the steps of like that process of like, it's going to suck in the beginning, but then you keep going, then you see at the end, like, okay, you got the hang of it, or like, you succeed. Like you see all the steps of like that, just the overall growth. Like you see the mental
and
growth.
you're showing people that you're consistent. Like, hey, I'm still doing this, and that's and you're not trying to be perfect. You're just saying, hey, this is like part of my daily routine. This is what I do, right? So, kind of like when you were doing you were doing like that speed drawing recording, like you're recording yourself drawing, but it's all sped up.
Yeah, that's all I do.
Right? All I do. It's like that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't done it myself while I'm animating because it's a bit boring as shit. But it's tumbling the camera and then moving, moving a part of the character, tumbling some more. It'll be a minute of that, and you're not really seeing the end result, right? Until you see the little clip,
It's it's really funny you say that. It's funny you say that because I kind of feel that way about like doing a time lapse video of like a hand drawn traditionally on paper, as opposed to a time lapse video from like Procreate or Photoshop or whatever. Because like I guess at least with Procreate, the way it's displayed, you don't see these strokes happening, right? Like you just see they all look like they're being copy and pasted and Command Z and shit. So because it's digital, so I just that little takeaway from that, I don't know, kind of just makes me feel a little like about it. Like I always fall back into hand, traditional. Yeah, I always go back to it for some reason, and people try to show me ways to get comfortable with the drawing on screen and like pressure sensitivity and stuff, like, but it just always feels so
tactile, right? The tactile feeling, it's so different. Like I know they got like like textured surfaces and everything, and
they have that, and you can adjust the sensitivity too, and I just feel like that's still not going to do it for me. Like I'm still like I have to feel it. I have to feel the difference of the sensitivity.
Yeah, you got to feel the paper, right? Yeah, you have to right. Like if you were like me, right? I'm kind of heavy-handed. I don't know if you're heavy-handed. But
I am. Yeah.
I would
get it from you, Kuya.
Right? Like I would smear the paper because I'm like, as I'm drawing, I'm freaking dragging my hand, and then it's like, oh man, So it's like, right, you get that built into your mechanics, right?
Yeah.
Like avoiding the smearing the paper thing.
Yeah. Or even just breaking the point too, because like that was my thing. Like I would always break the point.
Yeah, so you adjust the way you work, because it's like, oh no, when I do this particular line, like whenever I draw a curve, for example, this is when the tip snaps.
Yeah.
So you learn to like compensate and draw a little different, but you don't really do that on a tablet.
Right.
Because it's all sensors.
Yep.
Right. So like, what do you call it? It's all pressure, right? It's like
I don't even know how to properly adjust it either. I have to look it up, but it's just I know it's still gonna. It has to be authentic. The feeling of it, the texture and all, and just knowing that I'm pressing hard because these strokes are getting thick. They're getting dark. Like
you gotta erase.
The way I'll know on my screen is like I'm gonna crack through it.
The first time I used an Intuos tablet and pen.
Oh yeah,
and like
the Cintiq, like those Cintiq.
Not the Cintiq, but the smaller, lighter ones.
Well, what's the difference? Because I just thought they were like all the same.
Well, the Intuos is straight up it's a pad.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But you still have to look at the screen. Right?
Gotcha. Oh, okay, like a Wacom.
Yeah, Wacom. Thank you. That's the name. See, I'm old. I can't remember that. The thing with the pressing of the computer and the.
I know, but I think like Wacom is becoming an old term too. So
yeah, I still have my old one. But like,
Fun.
I remember the first time I used it because I was like learning how to paint on Photoshop.
Yeah.
Like I worked with a guy who was like, he showed me how he does it, and he worked on like Gears of War and like those games, right? And man, you should see his concept art, man. They're amazing. And he's a traditional guy too, like you and me. He's a pencil guy. So he does a majority of his work in pencil, right? But then he scans it and then he paints it, and it looks freaking. So he was showing me how to use the tablet, the Intuos, the Wacom tablet, right? And I remember like the first few times I was like using it, and I would make a mistake, and I would erase. I would actually do this with my hand too, like after erase. Oh wait, like there's no rubber shavings, anymore, But I was like, it was because it was right. That was part of the, that was the conditioning, right?
Yeah.
You flip your pencil over if you're using the eraser on the pencil, right? Or you got the separate rubber eraser, right? You erase whatever part, and then you go swipe off, right? All the crap. And I was doing that with a Wacom, and I caught myself. I'm like, oh my god, it's like
it's so funny.
You caveman. Well, I was actually like, so I used to watch you doing the, what do you call it? The time lapse drawing and stuff.
Yeah.
And you usually do like portraits, right?
Yeah.
Like what made you want to do portraits? Because I remember I avoided doing portraits. Like
yeah, I remember
you always get that friend who's like,
that.
Hey, can you do a picture of me? I'm like, no. Like, what made you want to do portraits or just portraits of different people, characters, and stuff?
That's a good question. I actually don't know. That's like the one question I never answered or asked myself.
You just kind of fell into it. You're like, one day you're just kind of like, I don't know what else to draw, so I'm just gonna draw like whoever face.
Man, I don't know. I think I don't know what it was that made me like decide, all right, like I'm going to keep doing this for sure. But I do remember, at least in high school, when we did have an assignment when we're working on a portrait, whether self-portrait or just of anybody, like not to boast, but like mine, like it always came out pretty good, like pretty decent. Like I felt like, I was doing a good job. So, I mean, that's really, and I remember being inspired by Chuck Close, actually, who is known for the whether you want to call it stippling art or pointillism, but he does like these large, massive portraits, like hyper realistic portraits. But when they're all circles or they're whatever. So, I mean. But as of like now, like I don't know what it was that really hit the switch to keep pursuing it. I just honestly, I guess I just kind of enjoy the process of it and the challenge of just trying to capture as much of the likeness you can. Whether or not you're intentionally giving it more like that sort of like caricature look, where some of the parts are like a little exaggerated. You know what I mean? Like, because there's like some portraits that are like super stylistic, but they still capture like a realistic, resemblance of whoever of the model. So I'm like, it's really cool. So, I mean, I try to do something sort of like that, where like I am trying to capture as much of the likeness, but still give it this like at least like with the way I crosshatch. I don't know, but. To answer your question, like I really don't know what like solely inspired me, but it's always been a thing I did enjoy, even back like way back in high school and during college.
Nah, that's cool. I saw your recent one, Paul Atreides one. The
Oh yeah,
I don't know how recent that was. That was
I was
the
just that was like a
Timothy,
couple days ago. It was his birthday. That
Timothy
actor.
Chalamet. Oh, is that why?
Yeah, like I'll do. That's like usually like a good percentage of why. Goddamn train. Um, like why if I'm doing like an actor or a character that you wouldn't think I would draw, it's like, oh, like it was their birthday or some shit.
Yeah.
Just trying to get noticed somehow. Maybe like because I've had like some success where I would tag whoever I'm drawing, and just to see them acknowledge it and like appreciate it, it's kind of cool. So
Yeah. Yeah. Screenshot it if Timothy Chalamet likes your likes your Instagram.
who
The actor of Paul Atreides.
did he?
No, I said.
Oh, because if he did, that would be awesome.
Screenshot it if he did.
That would be cool. But I've had yeah, there was like some people that actually, who liked my one of my pictures is oh Jesus, don't do this to me now. Okay, the actor you watched the Devil's Rejects, right?
Devil's Rejects.
Yeah.
Why is it? It sounds familiar, but
Okay. All right.
sure.
Do you remember the original Day of the Dead?
Yeah.
Okay. So Ken Fury, is it Fury? Oh my God, I'm forgetting. But that actor, that black guy in Dawn of the Dead, he saw he saw a commission I did that involved him, and he liked it. And I was just when they like see to see stuff like that, that's pretty neat. But yeah,
that's cool. Got noticed.
yeah, just to get noticed a little bit is nice. Yeah, I gotta like work on like how I like on my exposure. So like, I decided, I told you I'm gonna try to revamp my YouTube channel and try to post some content there, and just hopefully just connect with more people and see how that builds up. Yeah, I need to make some changes for the biz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. It's portrait drawing. I was never into it.
Yeah, that is true. Because even like as a kid, like I definitely, it was comic books or even like those robots that like the Muay Thai. They had like. Do you remember doing that picture? You had like these robots with these cool like martial arts poses, but I
remember.
Like that.
Yeah, it's like probably an assignment from art class.
Yeah. I have some of your old work too. It's
I remember. Oh, you still have those?
Some of them. I definitely have the X-Men one.
Okay.
The X-Men cover you did.
Yeah, I what do you call it? Yeah, I remember when I was in art school, whenever I had to draw a person, my least favorite parts were faces and fingers. Fucking hated fingers. Because you can't just draw them like this or like this all the time, right? The fingers have to be doing shit, right? I hated it because it was so difficult,
Wow, that's so funny because I enjoy that. I like doing hands.
but see, that's weirdly enough, that's what kind of like got me more interested in the animation side as opposed to comic books, because everything is moving, right? So when you're like back then, I had to do it all on paper too, right? So when you're animating a character and you're drawing, everything is like you mentioned before. They're simple shapes. Right? Ovals, boxes, cylinders, and then eventually we even moved away from that. We went from shapes to gestures, because gestures allows you to see the actual flow of the movement.
Right.
So there are no details, right? So I'm like, cool, I don't have to freaking draw individual fingers. But later on, as we advance through the program, we still had to draw fucking fingers.
Yeah.
Because you have to like map out where they're gonna be, right? So, right, like if a character is doing a pose like this with their hand, if you can see that, right? Like you have to draw that square and then right?
Yep.
You have to map out where the fingertips are gonna be, right? And depending where you put it, that's where, right? That's the pose you're gonna get. So if you're right, if your hand is gonna be posed like this, then you have to make sure that we do what we call construction lines. There's construction lines everywhere, right? And you only imply like one of the fingers. So you like have a line, but you don't flesh out the entire finger, right? Mm-hmm. And so I remember liking that part where it's just all rough, but then it came time to clean it up. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta put goddamn fingernails because my character did this pose. Man. Now you're gonna see fingernails, or because I'm always trying to like. I remember back then, like whatever I did, like everybody for the most part, like most of my classmates are kind of leaning towards like the Disney style of an animation, but I was trying to emulate like comic book stuff. Like I'm trying to
That's
I'm trying to do freaking X-Men, in animation, and it's goddamn difficult because you're a one-man animator when it really requires like a whole team, right? To just have Wolverine like in pop his clothes, do that, right? Like be one animator to do the key drawings, and then another animator has to do like the breakdowns, or maybe breakdown or in between.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then another animator has to like clean up the lines, right? So, in my brain, it's like, man, that it's a whole production just to like animate that one.
You're kind of taking me back a little bit because I could actually say I've just going through that process too. Oh, which by the way, so because this is gonna be on YouTube, so the viewers, you just gotta, if you're like art enthusiasts, always want to understand how things work in the animation industry. You just got a little lesson there on how to do a hand and all the importance of gesture lines and shapes.
Yeah, fun. Like
I was the same way though too. I was the same way.
Yeah, the traditional stuff. You really have to know your fundamentals, right? Like talk about really mastering how to draw and never ever mastering it. You're always trying to achieve a higher level every time.
Yeah.
But in your mind and in your heart, you're never gonna master it because it's a continuously evolving.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to like, right, with a few simple lines, you have to communicate a lot of information already. So like to this day, I'm old school. Like I still favor like hand drawn animation, whether it's the old Disney stuff or anime even. I mean, anime nowadays, holy crap,
Yeah, it's
it's hand drawn. I mean, I know they do it digital too, but somebody still has to draw those lines, right?
Yeah.
So, and then it gets the computer takes care of whatever else, whatever process they're using, but you have to you are in control of every pose, right? And if that character is wearing stuff, that stuff has to react to everything the character is doing, right? It's very different, right? Stop motion, same thing.
Yeah, same.
And that's all straight ahead.
Yeah.
Right? You gotta at least with hand drawn you can. Right, you go. Yeah. You do that what we call like extreme drawings, right? You have like the start pose and then the end, and then you do the in between of that, the breakdown, right? That's what we call the breakdown, and then you break that down further and further until you have all these in betweens. But you have to draw each one, but you can hop right back and forth. That's why you flip the paper.
Yeah,
right? You see what's underneath. Right? I still remember. but like stop motion, everything is straight ahead, right? So
Yeah.
from start to finish, you have to go in sequence. You can't like pose a character in the beginning and then like, okay, 3 seconds later he's gonna be in this pose. So you jump, like you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm saying. Like, honestly, this is why I had to have you on the podcast, because there are just so many similarities I have with you, not just from growing up, but also, doing some of the things that you had to do too. So like the experiences, because I mean, I did, like, I got to, I don't know what schools do now, but I mean, I got to experience doing the key frame by frame with paper, and then then they were introducing Flash. So this is when like Flash animation was like starting to get real big. Yeah. And then luckily we, because yes, they taught, and that's what I will always appreciate from my school, even though it doesn't exist. But at least I know some of those fundamentals and can appreciate the process. But yeah, like creating the keyframes and then putting in the the actual frames in between, the in between frames, and like kind of going back to what you're saying with the animation, like when you're animating a character. Because I had a teacher that used to give me shit because for character design, because I would draw these, not that they were like crazy detailed, because they were really pushing like that Disney style, like on us.
It's unfortunate.
Like anime was not like you're never gonna be going, like they really like shunned the anime style, which I kind of felt bad because a lot of the kids were like anime geeks, but like. Yeah. But I always had fairly detailed characters too, and one of them had like chains, like kind of like a chain wallet deal, and my teacher was just like, "You really think you're gonna want to animate that?" And at the time, I was ignorant. I was like, "Oh, like whatever, yeah." I mean, of course, it's not logical.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. That they tell you to do that. I mean, I got the same thing. It's like, but. I don't know about your teachers, but mine weren't exactly like very clear about why. They just kind of give you this idea, like, you're never going to finish that. It's like, okay, well, fucking help me, like supposed to teach me how to do this proper, because, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of, animated stuff out there that has a lot of detail. So, I mean, right? Clarify this.
We did have some good teachers. I will say we had some good teachers. I'm only saying for me because I was not in the right state of mind when Dad sent me out there. Like I was not in the right frame of mind. I was like in party mode. Like I always said, if I could do it again, I like knowing, like I probably would have taken it a little bit more serious, but I could have made the choices to really get the really good teachers. So like I shit on my school, but there were some like good teachers out there, legit. And I will say, actually, damn, going back to
care. I shit on my school too.
Like, but going back to like the lifestyle drawing, like portraits. I did. There was a teacher. His name was Bill Martone, and he was the one. Like, if I was like trying to really put an effort and like grab his attention, it was him, and it was always with life drawing and stuff like that, which is really odd. Like, those are like the major differences between. I'm trying to see like where we differ and where we're like sort of the same. So I think it's funny that you hated drawing hands because like that's one of the things I do enjoy. Yeah. But like talking about animation, like it's a pain in the ass. So I get that.
Yeah, and nowadays everything is on the computer, right? So I do 3D animation now. So all I really worry about is posing.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about having to draw anything, set anything up. The character's set up already. It's been built. He's in T-pose, right? Often he's got textures on, so you know what they're gonna look like when they're rendered.
Yeah.
For the most part, everything is there. All you have to do is animate them.
Yeah.
Right. But I use but the traditional methods that I learned, that's what I apply in when I'm animating in 3D. So that, in a sense, that never went away, right? So I say it's right, because I'm old school. I appreciate all the more traditional approach to things.
Yeah.
I always felt like you can, like, it's a good thing to fall back on if you get like lost, or things got too intricate, because there's too many things going on. You can always like just kind of,
Dial it down a little
isolate a certain area and apply like some very basic principles, and then get through the entire scene, right, that way. So but yeah, I went through the same thing where, like, I had teachers that favored a particular style, and they force you to draw in that style. Like you're talking about, in your school, they were pushing the Disney look or whatever. Yeah, we had my first animation teacher at the Kubert School. Like, he's more of the Disney style, because, right, what else is there, right, back then? But he didn't push it, right? Like, he wasn't like telling everybody to draw like Lion King style, right? We had one animator who can draw and animate like that, and it's amazing. He got a job at DreamWorks after he graduated. He recreated the Scar picking up the mouse and toying with it, like, before he eats it. So he's like, this whole pick it up, and then he does that, and it said like a line or something. But it's all pencils, right? It's all pencil lines. But yeah, my teacher that teacher never pushed like, oh, you have to draw like Disney, like the main thing he tried to, ingrain in our heads is like how the movement communicates on screen, how you're using that space, so if a character is supposed to be like talking and walking at the same time, how do you communicate the dialogue into his body language, right? So that's the stuff he would like emphasize, versus like, oh, you have to draw the hands like this because Glenn Keane likes to draw. Yeah, like, who cares, right?
Yeah.
But then he left because he got to work on the movie called Prince of Egypt.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Yeah, of course, right? We didn't know it's Prince of Egypt until we went to visit him the following year at this animation festival, and he took us on a tour at DreamWorks. We're like, oh my god, this is amazing! No, totally nerding out.
Yeah.
But like the teacher that we got to replace him, we hated this fucking guy, because he just seemed like, our previous teacher he's always so chill and kind of genuinely happy to be there teaching animation. But, like a good sense of humor. He knows when to switch to business class because he's instructing. But then he also kind of knows how to lighten up the room so that we can actually like enjoy our assignment. Because like we had to work in class. We had to animate in class, right? Yeah. And he has to check everybody's work, blah, blah. And then whatever we don't finish, we do for homework. But the new guy... It's just this, I don't know, just he looks frustrated all the time.
Yeah.
Like he looks, like he's clearly bitter about something. Like he was like a storyboard artist he's been working on the Animaniacs. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah. And that show is back, by the way.
And I hated that show. I never dug the humor. I didn't like the style. Of course, I never said that to him. I just kind of, just that's his thing. But like, yeah, he was pushing us to draw in that style. Yeah. And a lot of us were like, I don't want to draw in that style. It sucks. Yeah. We don't like it, right? Like I remember we had him again for second year, like me and Tony, right? You remember Tony?
Oh yeah.
And this teacher threatened to flunk us because we weren't. First of all, it's our characters. Like we had to design our own characters for our project. but he was like he wanted to change it to look more like Animaniac style, and we're like, that's not the style we're going for. It's just something that me and Tony came up with. So you want to teach us how to like, how to create better poses, and okay, great. But if you tell, the head needs to be more like this because was it Pinky in the Brain? This is why they draw the head like this. I'm like,
God.
Okay, the character is not the brain or Pinky. The character is this fucking dog. That's
was this when you were working with that like mushroom samurai character? Do you remember?
I did that way after.
Okay.
Like I did that was I remember. Yeah, that's
See, that's the thing. That was
the original character I made for myself for my portfolio. Yeah. It wasn't part of anything.
See, because those years are really blurred for me because I have these. Yeah, like I said, I have these random memories of like the picture that we took together. Here, I was digging through right here. Was this like graduation or something?
That's graduation. Hey, look at us. We both had hair.
I know. I share this photo all the time because like I have to tell people like
that's graduation.
Following my brother's footsteps, but even with the look.
And you see those portraits?
Yeah, Tony
of us in the back.
Dude, yeah,
like me and Tony were the only animators graduating that year, and we didn't have any like artwork to display because everything we do is freaking animation paper, so like Tony even joked, it's like, what are we supposed to do? Bring a stack of paper and have people flip through it, it's like because they didn't have like a TV or VCR, right? You guys remember VCRs, VHS tape? Like we didn't have that set up so we can like play back our animation that we did in classes.
Yeah.
So they're like,
this was Joe Kubert graduating.
Yeah, that was the Kubert graduation dinner.
Yeah, Kubert.
Right.
I have a friend. He was on the podcast recently. His name is Rick Man. And what year did he say he went? What year was this? Because that was
90.
I was in the 90s.
I want to say 98.
98. Okay.
Probably. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was 98.
All right, then he's I think he's a little older than you because I forget what he said, but we were trying to see like if there was any chance he somehow in some way crossed paths anymore because he did teach there, I think out as well. So
when did he graduate?
I forget. I forget. But,
I imagine I ran into several different people there.
Yeah.
But I only had a handful of friends, and a lot of those people that I just kind of ran into, I don't remember them anymore because most of them were on the graphics side, the comic book side.
Okay.
Yeah. So the school was at the time was split in two, right? There's the animation corner.
Oh, right. It was like cartoonist, right? When they say cartoonist.
Yeah, they say cartoonist, but yeah, it's really, it's not all cartoons,
What? All right. So wait, was that Kubert when you took me to class or work? I remember you took me. I thought you took me to your school or something, but you took me along with you. And then there was another time, maybe a couple of years later, you took me to your job, and I forget which company that was. But was that Kubert School when you took me to?
When did I
took me out with you? And I got to.
Were you already in art school?
No, I was a little kid, so the memory is like so. It's really vague, but I do remember. I do remember you taking me to at least one of your classes or something. Probably kind of got to see the inside, and I was just I sat there and drew comic books. But I remember
it's probably Kubert. It's probably Kubert
because you had like a female like teacher or someone, Sue or something.
Sue. Okay, so yeah, that was. You remember her?
I do. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I have these very vague memories, but they always stayed with me. But yeah, so that was Kubert too.
That was Kubert. Yeah, I think we probably had a visitor day or something.
Yeah, I have your. And when we had like that family reunion, it was like after we left, I was like, "Fuck, we forgot the tape because I have your demo reel." It's on my
That's right. You still have.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god.
Hey, man. Right here, look at this.
Holy crap! Look at this. The master copy.
Oh my god! Just even the cassette. Oh man, I'm so
Master
glad.
copy. Take it out. Show it to everybody.
Yep. Look at
That's
this.
right, kids.
It says, "Yep." Oh wait, this has to take you back. Ferdimation.
Oh god. Yeah. I'm trying to be cool and come up with a clever. I'm put my
Ross-
name in front of animation.
The Ross
Yeah.
Perot claymation reel. So that kind of gives people an idea of the era.
Yeah, I know, right? So you see how crazy that is, right? You see that giant ass tape,
Yeah.
and it's like I can only fit like less than a minute of
Which is wild.
footage. And now, right now you can fit everything in this fucking thing.
Which are like, I would lose so many of those.
Was that
How many have you lost?
of USB?
Yeah.
Strangely enough, I think over the years I've only lost a couple. That's because we were like moving and stuff. But I have them all like contained in this box, so.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Yeah, I gotta send this. Like after this, send me your address so I can send this to you.
Yeah.
It belongs in your home. I still have the books that you gave me. Actually, I've been wanting to showcase my action figure display because that was one of the things I definitely took from childhood. It was always displaying my action figures on the shelf.
Yeah, the whole decorating your workspace with toys.
Because for the listeners, my brother would always like he would have his Spawn. He would have one section of the shelf with like the Spawn figures. Then he had a section on one shelf for Lion King. Then you had your Star Wars.
Oh man, you should have seen my workstation when I was still at EA. Because that's around the time the Transformers movie came out, the Michael Bay one.
Oh well, yeah.
So I had freaking the Optimus Prime and the Bumblebee, the giant toys.
I was doing that too at my dorm. Like my friends, they would look at my dresser and I'd had all the fucking Transformers.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yo, can I try?"
But that's how it is. In a studio, it's like all the artists. It's like a competition who has like the most and coolest toys.
It's like trophies.
Yeah, basically, right? Look at
Yeah.
Behold my collection.
Gundams.
Now it's like I'm super minimalist now. All I have is my workstation is the webcam for meetings.
Yeah.
And I have one figure on the thing. I don't even know what it is. I got it from somebody. Oh no, I have a Wally. I have a Wally figure.
Oh man, I think when you took me to one of your offices, you had your Final Fantasy. This was when Final Fantasy VII had their first line of action figures. They weren't even posable, I don't think.
Oh yeah, it's just they're already in whatever pose they were.
Yeah, I think you had those out, and then you had your Evangelion, one of your Evangelion ones out.
Yeah. I still have that actually.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because I kept it right. Like I went from a period of taking them out of the package and posing them, right, and then a period of I got to preserve these, so I put them back in the package.
Yeah.
So I got because I don't know why. I felt like the 40-year-old virgin where he has all these action figures and boxes. I went through a period of that because I had I was working with this one guy who literally, right, his work area looked like a Toys R Us.
Oh yeah,
or the comic book store where they have the figures like hanging on
all
the
the
wall.
busts and stuff.
Yeah, that's what his cubicle looked like.
Oh
So he'd
jeez.
be like, he'll have all these like Spawn characters in their packages. Just he tacked it on the wall, and they're hanging it, and he never took them out.
Oh,
And and then he explained why. And then for some reason in my head, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. So I started doing that.
yeah,
And then you can't enjoy it as much because they're all like.
do you have any of the? I mean, because like I remember I think you had a Luke Skywalker, or is it Darth Vader still in the package? Like
I don't remember. I wasn't
when
really.
you lived at the house. But
Yeah, I
you
don't
had one of the
remember.
Star Wars characters packaged. You would hang it.
Probably an accident. Because as much as I liked Star Wars, I wasn't really I wasn't big on collecting Star Wars
Okay.
figures.
Yeah.
They're just not posable.
Yeah.
They're very.
I just well, I mean, you were definitely into McFarlane.
Oh yeah, I was more into that because I mean his figures look like his figures look like sculptures. Like I mean they're already in that predetermined pose, but like you can adjust joints.
Just like the accessories too. Like I remember one of my favorite Spawn toys was the Viking one, the Viking Spawn. Just because he had the helmet that you can take off, and then you see like
I have the undead samurai one. He's over there. He's standing right on the PlayStation.
Oh man, Nicole couldn't wait till I had my own office so I can just display all my collectibles in here.
Yeah. So McFarlane kind of changed the whole action figure genre, right? Because like he started making toys that are like they look like they're just statues, right? But oh crap, you can like
you can play with them.
You can reposition the feet. You can reposition. Right, you can even have them leaning in a different way, because it's got these peg holes for the feet, so they'll stay put.
They're posable.
Yeah, they're very posable, even though they're already in an action pose.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and then of course everybody started doing that.
Those figure arts. I have some those SH figure arts or whatever. The Tamashi Nations figure arts. They're like super posable now, and they're just like, it's crazy how like action figures are getting now.
Yeah, well, technology, right? And like all these 3D printing machines or whatever. I mean, not 3D printing machines. They have to mass produce these, right? So whatever machine, like. The technology is so far along now that you can have all these like really small detail things, and even the painting methods have evolved. I mean, they still use some traditional methods too, but a lot of it can be done, by computerized.
Sprayed on or. How, I mean,
like the toys we have now didn't exist 20 years ago, right? And hell, we were like happy to get a G.I. Joe with a kung fu grip.
Or like the action figures where if you squeeze the legs they'll twist. Oh,
check this out. He's like
there was actually something I did buy. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. But
oh yeah, the pick.
Yeah, he's supposed to talk, but it's so old. So
yeah, but yeah, I don't know about you, but I mostly get influenced by like coworkers on what kind of toys I want to get for my collection. So yeah, I went through the McFarlane phase where I collected like Spawn figures and all that stuff, right? And then I switched to like these weird Japanese figures. They're not posable at all, right? It's just they're just interesting.
What
right?
are they called?
Like a kid robot vinyl. You know, like there was like this whole vinyl thing for a while, and it's just you know,
are they like these?
kind of like that, but not as detailed.
It's a different brand.
Yeah, they're a lot simpler. You know.
Yeah. I know, like,
and that was the thing. You know, for a while that was the thing to have, because you can't just like, you can't go to Toys R Us and buy them. They're like harder to get.
Yeah.
So you had to like find these like specialty stores, like a Japanese only
like
type of store.
And
that's where you get it. Yeah. Right. So it came like kind of an elitist, you know, collection, you know, group.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, you know, Spawn's nice, but check this guy. And you're like, whoa, what is that? Doesn't even have a name. It's just a thing, you know, and it's like pink and it's got these big eyes, and it's like, it's not posable, but it, you know, the shape is cool or whatever. It's a cool looking character. And then there are people that are like making like mods or repainting it.
Oh, right.
And those cost like hundreds of dollars because so-and-so artist painted it this way. And then everybody tries to grab, and they only made like limited numbers of those things.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're like a true collector, you know, you got number 6 of 10.
they do that with Magic cards too, and then Pokemon too. Any like collectible game, but I heard that's another big thing too, especially like for card collectors. Like my buddy Alex has been trying to get me onto doing that, and you know, to
like Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, like, you know, just take. He's like, yeah, you know, I mean, he gets really into it, but, you know, take like a landscape card and then do something with that, or, you know, throw in a character or someone in there, and just, I mean, I guess like customizing stuff like that is like really
not my thing.
Same, like I just. Well, my thing is like I don't work. I mean, it's an excuse, but I don't really work with. I'm not comfortable with acrylics or anything. Like I like watercolor, and I know it's not gonna end. It won't end well if I try to customize a card with watercolors.
Yeah, shit's all fluffy and soggy now.
Yeah, it's just like a whole nother thing. I always say one day. He gave me a whole bunch. He gave me like a huge deck of cards to practice with, but
no, it's like cool. We all each, you know, we like what we like, right? So
well, that's what I mean. Like, you know, like after going to school for animation, it's too bad it took like after graduating, realizing like, oh, this is sort of, because like it really was like during college, I was kind of like just following your footsteps. I mean, Dad kind of gave me like a pretty hardcore ultimatum. It was like, become a nurse, go to school for animation, or go to the Marines.
You're you know Dad. I know. He's pragmatic, right?
Yeah.
Even in driving, remember? I don't know if you remember what, like when he was teaching me how to drive, right? 17 years old, right? Or 16. You know, it's like the way he taught me how to drive is like, you always have to have a destination, right? So when you get in the car, you have to be like going like to a specific place. So the whole idea of just driving around for fun, like that's out. Like no such thing as driving around for fun. No riding around with your friends. You're either going to the grocery store to pick up stuff for your mom, or you're driving your mom to the mall, or driving your sister to the mall and her friends. Right? I did that for a fucking while. I was like the default chauffeur, right?
Responsibility.
But Dad was like, right, you have to have a plan.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, right, you remember when I flunked out of nursing and I don't want to go back. It's like, well, you gotta have a plan. What are you gonna do now? What are you gonna do with your life? Right? I'm like, oh, I want to go back to. I want to go and actually go to art school. You know, now, because you know, it's like if I had to get a job to pay for it, I will. But I gotta go back. I gotta go to art school, right? Because this is what I wanted to do in the first place, right? So, but yeah, you know, he probably like pushed you to do art. Or, oh, okay, either go into nursing or art because, right? You do art and look at your brother.
Yeah.
See, he had direction. And you follow that direction.
Actually, there was
like,
one.
I remember I had a conversation with him about this. Like after you enrolled already. I forget either after you enrolled or before, but whatever, around that time. And he was telling me this stuff, right? And in the back of my head, I'm just like, does he actually want to go to art school, or are you poking him, pushing him to go in that direction, right? Because now, right? Because before, right, he didn't think I could make a career out of this.
Yeah.
Like he was actively, discouraging me from even, reconsider, right? Going to Kubert School. Because we don't know. We just don't know where after you graduate, how are you gonna get a job, right?
Yeah.
But I guess since he saw that, getting a good job doing this is actually a thing, then he's like, well, look at your brother. See, do what he's doing. Right? Either that or go to nursing.
So
right?
It's really funny because at the time I was getting into music. So I was at the point, at least with my enthusiasm, like I was pretty intentional. Like I think I might want to try to go to school for music, even though shit's like really hard. But because I started playing guitar and stuff and tried like songwriting. So I was kind of into it, but yeah.
But that's what I'm saying when I was having this conversation with him. So I remember you were like learning how to play guitar or something.
Yeah.
And I remember like, I think I said something like, well, what about music? Seems like he's into music more, Like I wasn't suggesting to send you to like music school, but I was more like, let him take some music classes, like a guitar class or something, right? So I don't know. See, that to me, I think small.
Yeah. Well, I think like all in hindsight too.
That is more like if I'm gonna go in this direction, I need to have the entire future of this endeavor mapped out. As soon as I step out this door, I need to know exactly where everything is and how things are gonna turn out when I turn the ignition in the car. Like me, it's like, well, I gotta make it down the stairs first.
Well,
all right. I made it down without falling. What's next?
We gotta give it up for Dad though. He's pretty consistent because he's like, when I retire, we'll go back to the Philippines. Now they're in the Philippines and he's still working.
And he's still working.
He runs a truck company. But I
definitely get my work ethic from him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I definitely get some of those traits from you guys. At least like in terms of discipline. Like my discipline though is obviously focused.
I think that's how I was able to survive art school and do the hard way of animating. Yeah. Because it's tedious as fuck, right? Yeah. Like how do you not go insane doing that? Yeah. Drawing the same character over and over and over. Hundreds and hundreds of drawings of that. And then having to go back and clean it up. Mm-hmm. Right? Because it's like, right, he just kind of instilled this whole like, well, this is the this is the objective you've set for yourself. Now you gotta, right? No matter what, you gotta finish. No quit. That would make a good motivational coach or trainer. No retreat, no surrender. Once you step out that door, you have to know everything. You're like, what? Yeah. I just want to learn how to box, coach. Not trying to be a champion now.
Yeah, we definitely do get. Yeah, it's so funny. Like when we're talking about Dad, because there were a lot of like the discipline habits I've had. Like even getting up early when it came to like going to work or even showing up at the class. Even though I was like a mediocre like student, I was always there really early. But of course, then I was like killing that time smoking cigarettes and talking to friends. But I was always showing up really early, and I always I would always say that I got that from Dad. Like Dad would be up eating breakfast like an hour early before he has to even leave. and yeah, like I still have these habits now.
Yeah, I only did that when I'm with Dad, right? Especially when we're doing that newspaper thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only showed up early if I know I'm going with Dad. But most other times I'm like Gandalf. I show up when I mean to.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you say it's supposed to start work at 9 and I show up at 10:30. That's because that's when I'm supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Not before.
Yeah. I don't know why. Yeah, that was the thing when I used to work at Michael's. You know, for those like graveyard shifts. You know, our shift would start at 3 a.m., but I'd be there by like 2:30. Like I would be there so early, to the point where like people would start relying on me to, like, if they're running late, they'll hit me up so I can tell my manager, like, oh, like so and so's running. I was like, fuck, because like I was always the first one showing up, so they, you know. But I think I got that from Dad, just like the what's the word when you're always on time or whatever. But
Punctual.
Huh? Punctual. Yeah. That's the one.
Well, punctual is being on time. Being early, I forget what the word is for being early.
Well,
early.
Dad was always both, right? Like when he would fly out to the Philippines, he had to be there like 4 hours before the flight.
Dude, I still do that when I travel in the airport. You know, I'm like, okay, you know, Portland International Airport is 2 hours from here. That means I need to leave, 4 hours. And I have to be on the road like 4 hours prior, right? Because, but yeah, like part of that's kind of right. It's ingrained in the brain. Like you can't get rid of it.
That's so funny.
You know? Like I have to, and I'm a Virgo too, right? So we're kind of calculating already to begin with. Everything has to be as logical as possible. Otherwise, we just lose our shit. You know? Everything's out of order. You know?
But that's so funny. But I guess that explains how I skipped Ata and Ryan, because when it comes to like punctuality or anything like that, it's like it's me, you, and Dad. But when it comes to the tardiness, it's Mom, Ata, and Ryan.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, Mom is just kind of like, I don't know, whatever. And I think Ryan got that from Mom, but Ryan's more like, I don't give a fuck. You know? which sucks, because that was the attitude I had during school, where like, you know. Well, growing up, yeah. I mean, like for me it was harder, right? Because I was the eldest. I was supposed to be the role model, right? So like I was, like even in high school, right? I had like 2 part-time jobs.
Yeah.
But who fucking does that? I should be at home playing Nintendo.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I did, but I had to have all my chores done first, and all that shit, right? And then Dad handed me his car, that brown fucking Stanza that was like falling apart and everything, right? My first car, right? So, but it's like, hey, if you wanna be able to afford owning this car, you gotta get a job, because you gotta pay for gas, you gotta the maintenance, right? And that costs money, blah blah. So I got a part-time job. I ended up with 2 part-time jobs, right? And at one point it was 3 part-time jobs. I don't know how I swung that. But yeah, you're still young, right? So when your friends want to go clubbing,
well, that's it. Yeah,
you still went.
Well, see, like, I mean, I didn't go out a lot, and when I did, it was just like at other people's dorms or whatever. I wasn't a club. I was definitely not. I was just a stoner. Like I just stayed in the dorms. Like I didn't really.
Yeah, I mean, I went out, but not as much.
Yeah. Well, I got the social side from Ryan, and that kind of worked against me. Because I was like, if I went to school, but I was still local, like if I was still at home, maybe I don't know, maybe I could have done better. I don't know. I shouldn't be even looking back at it now, but it's like definitely like obvious that being out on my own at that time probably not the best idea.
But the way I look at it is, if you don't regret it, then it's fine.
Yeah, I don't regret it. I don't regret it because
some people always talk about, back then if I'd just done different, done things differently, things would have turned out another way, right? Yeah. It's like, yeah, maybe, but you don't know that,
Well, yeah. Well, I definitely
if you think about it more, it's like, well, you regret doing all that stuff? Because, right. I mean, if you do, then you can change things now.
Yeah.
But you're like, no, I don't feel bad about it. Move along then. Keep doing what you're doing. Seems like you're fine.
Well, what I was getting to before was saying, like, like at the end of the day, I'm still grateful because, even though I didn't do as well, like, even though I didn't like fulfill like my potential in school, I did enough to get by, to graduate. It was clear, like, I know my fundamentals and stuff. So I definitely have those lessons ingrained in me. So like at the end of the day, what I'm saying is like, I'm glad that I still enjoy creating art because maybe not animate. And I actually been thinking about it lately too. I'm like, maybe I might go back to my, like, try to animate again and just like fucking just go back to like animating a bouncing ball and really work on the basics again and just kind of fine tune things. But
if the mood's I'm kind of if the mood strikes, then do it kind of person.
Well, so, the reason why I'm thinking about that now is because I was gonna say the reason why I'm thinking about that now is because the whole like NFT thing.
The
whole like I can't even get into that because I'm too stupid.
No, it's a pretty new thing, and some people got lucky and got rich off of that one fucking cat picture, whatever they did, but it's an evolving thing, right? Art is always evolving, and even myself, it's like, like I said, I mainly animate on the computer.
Yeah.
But like lately, I've been having this urge to wanna go back to paper.
Oh yeah.
Like paper, not the, not an app or software.
Right.
That
like
simulates
you really
paper animation. Like actually punching the paper.
Yeah.
Putting it on the light box, rolling the thing, drawing on top of it. I actually
still have this. Because I don't even know if any of my friends still have it, but I still have this from school.
The lamps?
This is what we had. We didn't have like the full, like, we had classrooms that had the desk with the, with the whole thing, but like at home, at least I still had this.
Yeah. So, I've been like, having the urge to go back and do that stuff just for me.
Yeah.
Like not for work or none, because it's going to turn into work. And, like for me, like the most creative I feel is when there's no other external pressure, like no deadlines, no one to like, when I create something and it's for me, it's like, I don't really care if you like it or not.
Like the full creative freedom.
Yeah. But if you're doing it for a client, it's like you have to satisfy somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you do something and they ended up not liking it, part of you kind of, feel bad that you didn't do better or whatever, right? Or it didn't turn out as well as you hope. Yeah. Then you start thinking, I wish I had more time to do it. I wish I had better equipment or resources, better work area, whatever, right? You start coming up with all kinds of excuses. But when you're like doing it for yourself, it's like,
Yeah.
Later, okay, after lunch, I might work on this part of the same thing, the same character or whatever, the same scene, because it's just, you're just, it's almost like a meditation, right? There's no real end.
Yeah.
I mean, you're trying to finish the thing, but you're not in a rush, right? Or not finish it at all, right?
Yeah, I've noticed that with myself. Like even if it's myself, if I'm giving myself a deadline, it always adds some sort of pressure and affects the outcome. It's like once I can convince myself there's no deadline, especially working on my art. It's like, oh, all right, we're good.
Yeah. That's why, right? That's one of the things kind of we talked about when we were in the car when I went to visit, right?
Yeah.
It's like, people's perception of like the industry is not what.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get into that too a little bit because, I mean,
it's like what you thought is gonna be like, right, enjoyable because I've always loved drawing, I've always loved doing art, right, and then you do it as a job, and it's like not as fun, right, because you got all these external pressures on you now, right, that are dictating how you should do your work, how it should be presented. It's not going to be presented the way you want to present it. I mean, to some level, you can. Again, it really depends, right? So that's why I was saying it. Yeah, man. It's not, I can kind of understand now why some of my teachers would kind of have this bitter, attitude.
Yep.
Because it's like, it seems like they wanted to do something they really wanted to do or love to do, but couldn't because they have to do this as a job and right. They have to put food on the table. So, it's either this or some other 9-to-5 job where they're not doing what they like to do. Right.
Yeah.
So, it made me think of that like that, so on the upside, at least I still get to do what I like doing. Right.
Yeah.
At least right now.
All right, yeah. Well, I was gonna say,
but if you've noticed, lately, my interests have been kind of going off into different tangents. I'm getting interested in other stuff. Stuff where I'm not confined to my freaking desk, right? But that's what I do for a living, right? Yeah. And that's where my talents lie. So that's how I make my income, right? So, but yeah, definitely there's some things changing as I get older. Like my interests are changing.
Yeah. But you're still pretty consistent. Like going back to like martial arts. Like I remember as a kid, like you and Leo used to film videos of your training together. Yeah,
like we're just a bunch of idiots trying to look like tough guys.
But now you're so like, what would be the proper title for this? Like a martial artist, weapons martial artist.
Yeah, well, I know. Nowadays they kind of, I don't know, nitpick on the name. To me, it's all the same. To me, it's just martial arts.
Because I used to tell
whether it's traditional or modern or MMA, military combatives, it's all martial arts to me. I don't give a shit what you want to call it, So
gotcha.
I mean, I do specifically Filipino martial arts.
Yeah.
Mainly because it's weapons, and I like weapons.
And we're Filipino.
That's more of a coincidence. Just happened to be Filipino.
Wait, that was the coincidence? That wasn't like a intentional?
No, yeah, I didn't want to do Filipino martial arts because I'm Filipino and this is my heritage. None of that bullshit. You watch these, sometimes I watch these interviews with masters, Filipino martial arts masters, and it's always because I love Filipino culture so much.
Oh, God.
I'm married to a Filipino wife. And I want to show my respect. Like, dude, how about just like doing it because you like it?
Yeah.
None of the other shit.
Yeah.
Like, if I was a Martian and I wanted to do Filipino martial arts, I guarantee it's probably because of the knives. Like, we don't have knives in Mars. We have laser guns, right? So I wanted to learn how to use this particular weapon and Filipino martial arts. So yeah, I mean I don't know. That's how my brain works. It's like. I talk to people so much. It's like, so are you doing this because of your culture? I shit you not. I went to a seminar recently in the Bay, and I was talking with some people. So, I wear a kilt, right?
Yeah.
A modern kilt, and I'm clearly not Scottish. but I wear a kilt, and at this event, several people were like asking me, and some, because it's not a traditional tartan, it's just a solid OD green color with my patch on it. They thought it's some kind of like traditional Filipino thing because I'm Filipino and I'm wearing this. I'm in this getup that's not quite. They're not pants, and they're not exactly a skirt. It looks like a skirt, but it isn't, right? So they're like asking me, like, so what is? Can you tell me about this? Like, what is this? Is this a cultural thing from from like your tribe or something? No. And I'm like, no. I said it looked cool and I wanted to wear it. and I was nicer about it too. I was like, well, it's actually, it's a Scottish attire, the kilt. But instead of tartan, because I don't belong to any, Scottish clan, right? I'm not a MacLeod or McGregor or whatever, right? I decided to go with a solid color, and green. I don't know, for some reason OD green always works for me, right? It's either OD green or black. So, but people thought it was some kind of Filipino thing.
That's so funny.
Now the upside is I converted a few Filipinos who were there, and like they've always been like looking into wanting to one day wear or try wearing a kilt, but they're like afraid people are gonna make fun of them or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I had that fear too, but who gives a shit, Yeah. You can always like pull your knife out. I'm like, oh, fuck. Make fun of my skirt. Say something. Come on, say something. Right? I don't encourage that, but I'm just, like joking, I say, who cares? If it's comfortable and you like it, go do it, right? So yeah, some people like taking down information where to get this and how to, how the sizing works, because they're not sized like pants. You can't lie about your waist measurements, right?
Perfect fit.
Yeah, you can't be like out here and be like, oh yeah, I'm a 32 small. It doesn't work. You have to take a tape measure and measure that, and then use that number to get your correct size, right? But yeah, people thought it was a Filipino thing because they just look at my skin color and the event that I'm at. It's all Filipino martial arts. They just assume it's some kind of a Filipino attire. I'm like, nope, this is a me attire. So and to get my look specifically, you have to have a bald head with a strip of a mohawk, wear a black T-shirt of some kind, and and combat boots.
That's so funny.
That's the attire, and you have to have a knife on your belt. So that's a requirement.
I know.
But yeah, I mean, because everybody, there's other people there that were like, they're wearing like a traditional Filipino outfit. I get it. They're representing the culture, but I'm not into that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. It's like I'm the most anti-Filipino.
Oh, no, okay. I'm happy to hear you say that, because I say that to myself, and I say it out loud too. I'm like, I fell in love with New Zealand a little bit more, with the Philippines for a hot second.
And that seems to work for you too. I saw that one where you guys went to one of those tourist things where you had to do the haka.
Yeah.
And you were doing your fucking haka better than the other local tourists, like New Zealanders that were from there. They just happened to be in the same tour as you.
Oh yeah.
Like, dude, my bro's doing it better than them, and they fucking live there, and this is their culture. Right?
So they had multiple tour groups, and each group they would call it a tribe. So each tour group had a chief, and I was the chief. So I had to like lead that. But it's funny that you said that, because Nicole, she told me that after we were doing the haka, one of the women there, that I guess their significant other was like in that group with me. And she thought that I was part of it, like part of the arrangement. She's like, no, he's he's just a big fan.
He just really likes it.
It's like he's really into it.
He doesn't even know what he's saying. He's just saying, he just watched a lot of YouTube videos and started making. No, you know the words though, right? You know the meaning.
I do, yeah. Because I'm such a dork.
No, that's not actually. Actually, that's a good thing because that means you really appreciate their culture.
Well,
there's a difference. There's a difference with like. Yeah, there's a difference between just copying the movements and the facial, right? Yeah. Because that's some cool, scary shit. Right? It makes you feel like a warrior, and then whatever, right? The chants and whatever they're saying, like you have no idea what it means. Yeah. Right. Then it makes you kind of more like a poser, right?
Yeah.
But because you look into it more, you actually learn. You learn the lyrics, so to speak, right?
It helps them understand.
You're not just humming the words, right? Yeah, you're actually like you understand the meaning of the words and why they are pronounced and said in that manner, and what movements.
Well, that was with your help, though. That was a little bit with your help, though, because when I first saw the video of a haka, I did think it was like I was completely ignorant, but I thought it was like a religious thing, and then you told me like, no, this isn't religious, like this is just part of their culture. And once you explained that, then I kind of like did a little bit of my own homework, and then because like for me, the only thing that connected me to the whole haka was just the expression, just because like me and my buddy Davey, we have like these. Call it like barbaric expression, like we would make faces like that. So, like when I saw them doing the Pukana, I was like, oh shit! I was like, I just immediately gravitated towards that, just the whole demeanor and everything. And then once you kind of told me about it, and then I researched it, and then got more of an understanding. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, actually, like for the longest time, I wanted to work at Weta. You know, Weta, right? The studio that did all the Lord of the Rings movies and Avatar. Now they're like a legit effects studio, right? In New Zealand. And I remember like wanting to go to New Zealand for the job. And then because of that stuff, because of the haka stuff and the culture, I'm like, yeah, I'm actually thinking about like learning more about that too. Maybe going to like a school, a marae. I don't think you can though as a foreigner. Yeah. Can you go to a marae? If you're a foreigner?
I don't know.
But like attending, like taking some kind of classes to learn about right? And of course, it's like, I've seen the martial arts.
I want to.
Yeah, like I've seen some videos of the martial arts with the taiaha and everything. I'm like, oh, like if I get a job at Weta, this is one of the things I'm gonna do after work. Is I'm gonna learn like some Maori martial arts, right? Yeah. Never happened, right? And then I see you doing it. I'm like, oh, that's cool. He gets to do this. My bro's actually doing this.
When they did like the silver fern offering, that was super intimidating because they're like, do not break eye contact when they're doing the movements. Like when you grab the silver fern, do not break eye contact, otherwise that's disrespectful. And I would like when I describe it, it was like fucking slow motion. It was like in the movies, man. It's like in the movies when you're like locked on, like just eyes, and like he's waving the spear like in my face. Like it all felt like real slow. But then when I watched the video, like thank God Nicole got it on video. It was just like a few seconds, but I'm just like, dude, that felt like forever, and I was really intimidated.
So I only have a vague idea why they do that, but can you talk on why? Like, what's the whole purpose of the whole, offering the leaf and then taunting you?
It's
and then running away.
So it's really just like when they deliver the leaf, it's an invitation. So by you accepting the invitation respectfully by not breaking eye contact, that's just like. It's very expressional. So it's like, you remain that eye contact for respect. And by doing so, you also, you take the silver fern and you hold on to it. And that's really just it. That's just like your way of establishing like sort of like you're welcome here, we're welcoming you here, you know, and will you take that?
But if you try anything, we're gonna fuck you up.
Yeah,
Kind of thing, right?
and
I think I would have been like the worst first contact ambassador for those people because he'll offer that fern. I'm just gonna assume like, okay, I think I'm supposed to eat this.
Yeah, right.
Then I'll eat it, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, this motherfucker is gonna eat us."
But it's cool because like we learned that too, like those silver fern, and why they were so essential to like for that culture, and because where they're at, they would use the silver fern like at night if they, you know, when if they're doing like hunting and gathering, they would flip the silver fern so that the moon will reflect on the silver part, and that way they can keep track of like their trail. I was like, oh shit, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah, there's more information about that culture now, right? But
yeah,
for a long time, they're really hard to come by, and because they didn't really promote it, right?
No, it's a thriving. I mean, it's a thriving culture, but I mean, they really are trying to hold on what's left of that, of their traditions, which is like another thing I fell in love with that, because, you know, like you clearly can tell, like, you know, they just had some anchor woman that just made history by being the first.
Oh yeah, she had the
Tamoko. Yeah. So I'm like, that's so cool. Like, so like you clearly see this country where they're saying that, you know, the Maori is so, you know, very thin now, like their population. So they're trying to keep this culture alive. And it's like, man, like if like the US were able to, like, there's so many examples that I feel that the United States like could have, you know, done as well, but it was just, you know, like I can't get into that because I don't know much. I don't know enough like in politics, but
right.
just by, you know, setting an example and like keeping, you know, what's the word? Like just keeping that culture alive. Like we like struggle so hard now to like get rid of like team names and shit, you know? Like
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of similar to what we're talking about, the Filipino martial arts stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like there are people they're using the martial arts to promote the culture.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is not all of us are into that culture.
Right?
Like myself. So I say I'm an anti-Filipino culture. It's like, no, I'm just not into it. You know, yeah. I mean,
is that what you say? You say anti? Because I'm like, I don't know, like another way to.
Because it's somebody said this to me because like every time there's a conversation regarding like, you know, traditional Filipino anything,
yeah,
you know, my attitude is kind of like, oh yeah, you know, but do you feel like do you feel like this part of the culture? I'm like, I don't know, dude. You know? I mean, you know, I'm from there. I was born there, but I grew up here.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pretend like I know my culture, you know, unless I actually studied it and I studied the history and right through book learning and being like always like 24/7 immersed in Filipino-ness.
Yeah.
Right. So much that even though I've been living in the US for, you know, forever, I still have a Tagalog accent. You know, my P's and F's are, you know,
they're a little more firm.
Right? Yeah. You know, very, very, you know, very pronounced rolling R's, right? Yeah. But like, yeah, you know, I'm not a scholar. I'm not a student of history of Philippines, and I guess part of me is kind of like calling out like these so-called, you know, Filipino, I don't know, cultural, I call them fans because they don't really study our culture either. They're just enamored with it because of the martial arts. Oh, the warrior culture, this, that, and, you know, the knife fighting and the 400 years, you know, and then, you know, right, Filipino culture fighting system, the most effective in the world. You know, we can beat anybody. And I'm like, this is why the Spanish freaking conquered us and ruled us for 300, 400 fucking years, right?
Yeah.
We're so effective.
Yeah.
Filipino people, the most united, like we're so united that we are constantly fighting with each other and putting each other down. Yeah. Very united, right? So yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know, like there's a switch in my brain that just goes on when I detect, hypocrisy, and don't talk to me about family if you're actively like putting down your own, siblings, right? Or you're talking, you're always talking crap about your relatives.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. It doesn't compute in my head.
No, I'm the same way though, because I don't know. Like the moments I feel proud to be Filipino is like when I see like I don't know, because I have been feeling lately. I'm like, I kind of like I do want to reconnect with our culture again. But at least the way I'm doing it, it's just through the creativity. Like I'm finding I found this Filipino. He's a very young Filipino rapper, and he's just like, he's a beast. Like he's a real rapper. It's not like today's crap. He's like old school, like rap, hip hop. But when I see like these talented people that come from the Philippines, then I'm like, yeah, all right. And then it makes me want to like represent. But then when people find out that I'm Filipino and then they start talking about the food and stuff, and I'm just like, I'm just like, like these are the popular dishes. This is how you say pancit.
That's the part of Filipino culture I appreciate most is the food.
Like when did you ever check out? I mean, it wasn't that great, on all honesty, but I just appreciated the effort. But there was a Netflix series, the Filipino Animator. I thought that was like
I couldn't get past the. You liked it?
I like it's just a neat concept, but it could have been a lot better. There was a lot of things like I don't want to be nitpicky, but there were just some things about it. Like if we want to talk about the animation quality, character design, like I kind of like the character design a little bit. Like I try to be forgiving, but the animation was a little choppy for me. So like just stuff like that. But I mean, it was like an interesting story, but I just feel like there's just something.
I started watching it, but I couldn't get past the first episode.
Like it's just.
And I watched it it had Tagalog, right?
Yeah,
so I watched it in Tagalog.
Okay.
But
I watched it.
I don't know. It's just it wasn't. It didn't capture my interest, so I didn't go beyond the first episode. I probably should have. Yeah, I probably should have given it more of a chance. I mean, Jesus, I gave Cowboy Bebop remake a chance.
Oh God, I was trying to avoid that. For your sake.
I'm like, okay, I'm not. Okay, I see. Let's see. 10 episodes later, I'm like, fuck, this fucking show sucks. Why did I sit through all this? So I should have given Tracy that amount of chance at least. Okay.
Well, that was
let's see on episode. Let's see on episode 2 what's going on with the ass wangs and whatever. Monster.
That was the only thing that gave me hope. Is like, look, or not give me hope, but to keep watching. I was like, look, like this is like the first like Filipino anime that's kind of being widely broadcasted. Like, I'll give it a chance, kind of like represent. And it was cool to hear that because like I watched it in English, but they still had parts where they say things in Filipino. So it kind of brought me, it was nostalgic for me to hear the language and the conversations, like breaking it out of English and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but story-wise.
I think the whole like animated industry in the Philippines is still,
they got to catch up.
It's still ground floor. It's because and there's a lot of talented artists in the Philippines, right? Filipino artists are fucking talented as shit, but that's the thing. It's like they can't make a living doing that. They're gonna do something else, right? And and the few that are like so talented that they got jobs at studios outside of Philippines.
Yeah.
You know, they're working at places like Sony, Disney, Marvel, right? You know, so they're not doing anything in the Philippines. So it's not really helping the animation industry in the Philippines because all the artists they're elsewhere, you know, cultivating their craft and making a living out of it, right? So yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, you remember, I mean, you were a fan of the X-Men cartoon too, right?
Oh yeah.
Like I was. I mean, that was done in the Philippines.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
The artwork is shit. The animation shit. But
the animation
we're such fans of X-Men.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
Like, oh my God, comic books finally come to life, right? Yeah. So we were watching that religiously every weekend, you know, right? Especially the soundtrack, right? Dun, 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 dun. I'm like, yeah, right? You wanna pop knives out of your hand and just start punching the wall and shit. Like you got so psyched. But yeah, it's like the animation's crap. You know,
you would see like parts of like the colors like disappear.
Yeah, the colors are all.
They didn't do each frame.
Yeah, there's a lot of black, right? Like they hid a lot of things in black shadow or whatever, and because they just don't feel like coloring it or whatever. I don't know. But it was bad. But it was an exciting show, and it was made in the Philippines. You know,
that's so interesting.
And part of me actually like still wish that the animation was done in Japan or Korea because they're just they got their system down. Their lines are clean, the colors are right, they're vibrant. You know, they knew how to add like other effects.
Well, so like the intros for like Thundercats and Silverhawks, that had to be in Japan or China then, right? I don't know. I don't know for sure, but they weren't done here because they were so dynamic.
Well, yeah. For the most part, like back then, the animations world were done in either I think Japan or I think Korea came later. Like Korea started doing animation. I don't know all the history, so don't take everything I say as fact.
There's gonna be fact checkers out there.
Somebody's gonna go in the comments. Well, actually, in 1984. Okay, shut up, nerd. You know. Nerds. Yeah, exactly.
But like, you know what? Because I remember when we all like reunited, we were talking. You said something along the lines of like, I don't know, because of work or what, but it's been tougher for you to be like just a pure, genuine fan of things, probably because the special effects side and the animation side, but like maybe like even like the story side too, I guess, right? Like, you're pretty
it's just
vocal about all that.
So I don't know if I mentioned before, like. My first year at the art school, right, at Kubert, we had this one teacher that told us straight up that, once you start doing this as a job, some of the magic goes away or a lot of the magic disappears. And back then I'm like, that's horse cocky, whatever, right? I'm always going to love doing art, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
Fast forward 20 years later, I see what he was talking about because what end up happening is because you are now working in these mediums, you know what goes behind the scenes, the process, and some of those processes are not pleasant. Right? Like they're just like you'd rather skip this part, but it's essential for the whole production for it to look the way that, right? And in a lot of ways, the magic does go away because like now when I watch an animated anything, I just analyze it. I start thinking, okay, how did they animate this? Again, it's not all bad. It's just that, when you're doing that, it takes the joy out of just watching for entertainment.
Yeah.
You're always nitpicking on things. You're always, you're always trying to figure out how they achieve that look.
Yeah.
I mean, again, when we were in art school, we did that shit. We would, we would freeze frame, we would pause, we would step frame so we can watch each image to see how the poses were done and whatever, right? Oh, that's right. That transition is more like a smear versus a stretch and squash, right? Because we were students. We're supposed to study that stuff. But unfortunately, it carries on into everything.
Yeah.
So now when I'm watching an animated show or whatever, and I notice a little, I don't know, like a blip, so like something's off, right away I'm like, oh, I start,
fuck this shit.
Fuck, fucking show sucks, based off of one frame. No?
You know what? That
like,
makes sense though. At least
God damn, it's in Spanish.
But at least for you, it makes sense. Like you work in the industry. But when I see like the hardcore fans that critique as much as hard as you would, it's just like you're just like a super fan. It's like
again, it's and also again, you're immersed in it every day.
Yeah.
Right. I think I told you this last time we were hanging out. I don't really play games, right? Yeah. but I work in video games, and I still get this from friends. Or they're like, oh, what kind of games do you play? I'm like, I haven't really played any games in 2 years. But you work in games. I'm good. Well, how come you not play again? I'm like, that's precisely why I don't play as many games, because I'm fucking working on games all goddamn day.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to, right? Once I'm off the clock, I don't want to look at another game. I don't want to play another game. I want to do something else. I want to go to the range and shoot guns. Right? I want to go practice martial arts. And now there's a new interest I'm thinking of doing in the new year's, rucking. That's walking for long distances with a weighted backpack.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that.
So now I'm thinking about doing that. So see, it's everything is right, away from that stuff, away from work related stuff. As much as I love it, I don't want to be in it all the time.
Yeah.
So with games, I mean, I got a bunch of games on my PlayStation that I haven't played forever. I have Ghost in Tsushima. I bought that last year. I'm still on the early stages of the freaking, I worked, I mentioned that I worked on Call of Duty, right? Yeah. I haven't played that game. The latest one that I worked on, I haven't played it. I played one of the war zones prior to starting the project, so that we can just kind of get our heads into that space and get familiar with with the game better before we start. And then beyond that, I didn't play it anymore.
But that makes sense.
I couldn't say that then, right? When I was working with the clients, so are you playing Call of Duty? Are you familiar? I'm like, oh yeah, I enjoy it. That's what I say, because I'm working with them. But in reality, shit, I hope they're not watching this and be like, that motherfucker, we hired him, and he doesn't even like our game. No, I like the game. I just, I don't need to be playing it all the time. So
I don't think people have to worry about what they say on my podcast, because I don't think it
well, you never know, but
you don't. Yeah, that is very true.
The point is, it's I will immerse myself enough for the research part once I've become familiar and understand what's going on and how things are working. I switch off and I switch to the task,
Yeah.
of doing, not, I don't have to constantly be looking at it. If I need to reference anything or review anything, then I'll go back and look at it. But otherwise, I'm focused on doing the work. And then once I'm done with the work, that's it. I'm logging off.
Yeah.
I'm doing something else. Because like I said, it's like, in the early stages of your career, you're still going to be that super fan.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first started, everybody was into Pixar, right? Everything Pixar put out, no matter what it is, Pixar, blah, blah, right? DreamWorks is along, right? And then you started having these factions of people. We got the Pixar people versus the DreamWorks people, right? And then there's the hardcore Disney traditional guys that don't like either one because it's all computer generated and they're all about the traditional art. Right?
Yeah.
And again, like music, I was like, if it's entertaining, I'm gonna probably like it.
Yeah.
Right. I'll watch it. But yeah, I wasn't like a super fan. Like, I was into, like, I worked with people who were, everything is Pixar. Everything's got 24/7 Pixar. They consumed every content and media they could find related to Pixar, right?
Yeah.
All the way up to collecting every fucking poster, right? And I never did any of that. It was like, hey, Bug's Life came out. Let's go see it this Saturday. And we'll talk about it. And that's it.
Yeah.
Right. And now I don't even do that.